Just gonna run into some numbers here real quick. Now, Computer Learning Center went out of business around 2001, so we're back here. And Career Education, which is a different company, went from 3 to 70, and then was raided by the California Attorney General, and that one went from 70 down to 17, and it's now about 4, it's been there for 5 years. And around 2006 was when University of Phoenix started to really get going. The stock was around $55 a share. They had, let's see, 2007, they had $2 billion of revenue, 291,000 students. And once the ban on incentive compensation was lifted, quote unquote, the University of Phoenix hired, I think it was 6,000 enrollment counselors, and each one had a quota of how many students they had to enroll in a particular month. And so the next thing I did was I wanted to find some of these enrollment counselors and figure out what the hell they're saying to prospective students. And I found one particular guy in North Carolina who was very colorful, and he said, here's the way it works. It's a total scam. And I said, well, what's the scam? He said, okay, if you're poor and we can make you look poor on paper, you can get a $5,000 Pell Grant. And the classes cost about $8,800. However, we quote recommend you borrow $10,000 even though you don't really need it. And the school will get $15,000 of revenue from that. And the pitch to the kid was, you can have the $5,000 Pell Grant and you never have to show up. You don't have to show up. And the kid really is questionable whether or not he understood that he was signing up for a $10,000 loan at the same time. And a lot of these kids were being told, well, you can come to University of Phoenix, you can learn how to read, you can learn how to write, and by the time they get there, they figure out that they are expected to already learn how to read or write, like duh. But they would be, and this guy would be like, well, I'm a good-looking guy, and I go into low-income housing projects, and I recruit kids all day long who are, sitting on the steps smoking weed or whatever, and recruiting these students and getting them to take out $5,000, and the students would be like, $5,000 of free money from the Pell Grant program. I can pay down my mortgage or pay down this or that and just abscond and not even be there. That's great. And so I said to him, I said, geez, that would lead to a lot of enrollments, wouldn't it? If all you guys do like this, do this at your campus, or University of Phoenix had 200 campuses around the country, quote unquote, campuses, whatever you want to call them, but not really. Like 90% of revenue comes from online, and all the kids really get shoveled in on the ground campus, which is just a sort of a fake thing. In fact, this building down here on exit 14 off I-95 got a big sign there, big building, 3 cubicles. And the real estate brokers who leased it out. So anyway, so I talked to this guy and 3 or 4 other teachers, and then I run into somebody who says, yeah, we've got 291,000 students at the school, but we're enrolling 150,000 students per quarter. I'm like, well, where are they? And he said, well, we have about an 80 or 90% dropout rate within the first couple of weeks. So this is a giant churn. The school is suddenly intentionally enrolling, and all the schools are doing this, as I said, just putting IGT education for, as I said, at 12 of them. All of them start figuring this out, that there's a small skim, that within this $15,000, they can book $5,000 of revenue, maybe a couple $1,000s of the loan, and again, the refund comes into question. So if you were to go to ripoffreport.com, which is a site where students can complain, you'll find hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of complaints by students saying, I got ripped off by $700, $900, $1,000, $2,000, because, and the school even changed the, I don't know if I wrote it down here, but for most schools, if you attend 60% of a class, you don't get to keep any of the money that comes back. And when you skip out, when you quit at the 50% mark, you're going to get 50% of your money back. But at the 60% mark, it's 0. Well, the University of Phoenix developed a computerized program that, regardless of how long you were actually in class, they're going to mark you down as having been there for 60% of the time. So they would recognize 100% of that revenue as having been there, and all of those kids in the 150,000 churn were suddenly finding themselves like re-enrolled in classes that they didn't ask for or didn't want to be paid for.